The sponsored daughter wants to steal my dad working 3 jobs to support my boyfriend, only to find out he hooked up with my wealthy roommate. Who's into that pigsty smell of hers? I much prefer you. I broke down crying. My dad waved his hand and transferred $3 million to my account. I was stunned. Aren't we pig farmers? My dad smiled faintly. We are, plus 300 other businesses. One just a wall away. My boyfriend was holding my wealthy roommate, whispering sweetly, "Who's into Emily's filthy stench? I much prefer you." Then he kissed her. My roommate Victoria giggled shyly, pretending to resist. "Imagine how devastated Emily would be if she found out," she said. "Who cares about her?" he replied. Fury surged through me as I stood there, having just finished clearing the table, overhearing every word they said. Yes, my family runs a pig farm. We've always been poor. I've known that for a long time. When I got to college, I started dating Nathan. He constantly complained about being broke and said he was too busy with grad school prep to work. No problem, I thought. I'll support him. I worked 3 jobs, clocking out at 10 p.m. every night, so exhausted I could barely stand. And yet, he had been fooling around with my roommate all along. Wanting to have his cake and eat it too? Not on my watch. I ripped off my work apron, grabbed the half-full teapot from the next table, and poured it over their heads. The restaurant fell silent. Victoria looked at her ruined outfit, her makeup dripping, and screamed in frustration, "Emily, have you lost your mind?" I laughed bitterly in rage and splashed the remaining tea on their faces. "Clear your heads," I snapped. Tossing the pot aside, I swung around and slapped Nathan hard across the face. "Guess I was blind to fall for a leech like you. Consider all my years of effort as feeding a stray dog." With that, I turned to leave, but then I paused, glaring back at him. "Every penny I spent on you, I want it back. Don't test me." This time I walked away decisively, but as soon as I stepped out, I started crying and didn't stop until I reached home. Even though my family runs a pig farm, the farm is a good distance from our home. Our house, thanks to my mom's meticulous care, is clean, spacious, and bright, not at all like how Nathan made it sound. It was my poor judgment that led me to waste time and money on a freeloader. My dad, Richard, was sitting in the yard when he saw me come home crying and was visibly shocked. What happened? Who dares to bully my precious daughter? I sobbed as I told him everything. Dad frowned as he listened, muttering regretfully, "Should have told you sooner." He couldn't do much to help, and I didn't want to worry him further. I wiped my tears, went inside, and threw myself into bed. When I woke up, I saw a notification on my phone. Bank transfer $3 million. $3 million? This has to be a joke. I stared at the screen, counting the zeros over and over. I couldn't believe my eyes. I scrambled out of bed and found my dad. "Aren't we pig farmers?" Dad smiled. "We are. But pig farming is just one of our agricultural ventures. We have 300 businesses like this." He held up 3 fingers as I struggled to process the information. 300 businesses. Does that make me a rich heiress? Am I set for life? Dad explained, "Back then your mom and I only had you, and we wanted to raise you to be grounded and not spoiled. So we kept our wealth a secret, but rest assured, we're loaded." "Your ex-boyfriend? Just his loss. Take that $3 million and treat yourself to something nice." I'd dreamed of being rich for so long, but I never thought it would come true. Suddenly, everything felt brighter. Who needs a useless freeloader when I've got money? Out of my way, losers, I've got a fortune to enjoy. With cash in hand, I headed straight to the biggest mall in town and went straight to the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor was for luxury brands, a place I'd never dared to step foot in before. But today, I could finally shop to my heart's content. And that's when I ran into Nathan and Victoria. 3. What a jinx, can just anyone shop here now? Victoria sneered as she walked up to me, her disdain unmistakable. Do you even have money? Or are you just here to look and not buy? She mocked. Nathan, holding her close, chimed in. She's broke as hell. I was livid. With a cold smile, I retorted, if you knew I was broke, why were you so eager to spend my money? Mooching off someone like it's your calling. Were you a pig in your past life, Nathan? If you don't return every cent I spent on you within 3 days, don't blame me for what happens next. You! Nathan's face turned red with anger, but I couldn't care less. I turned and walked toward another section of the store. I had just picked up a mustard yellow dress when Victoria snatched it out of my hands. I'm taking this, she declared. I turned back, annoyed. I saw it first. Victoria smirked. Everyone knows you're broke, Emily. Always working in the cafeteria, barely making ends meet. What money do you have to buy this? Stop embarrassing yourself. I'm buying it. The sales associate, quick on her feet, took the dress and started wrapping it up for her. I was furious. Always being dismissed like this? Even a saint would lose their temper at some point. I retorted coldly, I was here first. Don't you know the situation? The sales assistant sneered dismissively. It's obvious you can't afford it. I'll wrap it up for this lady instead. Hearing this, Victoria puffed out her chest and handed over her card with an air of superiority. Insufficient balance. The sharp electronic voice echoed around us. What? Victoria exclaimed in shock, her expression as if someone had slapped her in the face. The sales assistant offered an awkward yet polite smile. Your balance is insufficient. Perhaps you could try another card? Victoria's face darkened as her emotions flickered, and suddenly she angrily snatched the bank card back. Forget it. Nathan quickly followed after her. The sales assistant turned eagerly to me. Would you like this item? I can wrap it up for you. I scoffed. Not just this one, I'll take everything else as well. The sales assistant beamed with joy, but I continued. But I want someone else to help me. Hey, miss, you come and wrap these up for me. Her smile froze instantly. The young girl I pointed to hurried over to assist me, arranging to have everything delivered directly to my home. Ignoring the resentful glance from the original sales assistant, I was interrupted by a notification on my phone. Emily, Nathan is accusing you on the school forum of dumping him for being poor. What? I quickly opened the school forum, where the top post was titled in bold, Exposing My Gold-Digging Ex-Girlfriend. I clicked on the post. It was a long-winded essay, thousands of words detailing how Nathan claimed I had abandoned him during his rough times after he had stayed loyal to me, only for me to leave him for a wealthy man. Victoria was the first to comment, claiming that as my roommate, she couldn't stand by and watch anymore. She accused me of constantly forcing Nathan to buy me expensive gifts and of pressuring him to work 3 jobs to support me. I couldn't help but laugh out of pure anger. With her chiming in, the comments piled up quickly, dozens upon dozens of them, all discussing me and Nathan. Most were attacking me. Unbelievable. Nathan's so handsome and she still dumped him. Someone should tell Nathan to get tested. Who knows who Emily's been hooking up with behind his back? Becoming a sugar baby in college? Absolutely shameless. The comments were unbearable. Furious, I shut off my phone. All right, if that's how they want to play it. Does Nathan think I've forgotten the evidence I have of him cheating? I've been living frugally since childhood, and it's made me meticulous about keeping records, a habit that's finally proving useful. I rushed home and compiled everything. The flirty messages I'd found on Nathan's phone, the proof of my financial support for him, and every transaction I'd ever made on his behalf. I turned it all into a PowerPoint presentation, exported it as a PDF, and sent it to Nathan and Victoria's academic advisors. Then I posted it under Nathan's forum thread. Nathan and Victoria were always bragging about their plans to get into graduate school. Let's see how that works out for them now. When I returned to the dorm, Victoria was showing off a new handbag. My dad spent a fortune on this for me. He said as long as his daughter is happy, it doesn't matter how much it costs. A roommate, clearly eager to flatter her, chimed in, "Victoria, your family is so well off, and your dad spoils you. I'm so jealous." Victoria basked in the compliments, her earlier humiliation at the store completely erased. Another roommate, who was closer to me, glanced at me with concern. Victoria turned her smug gaze toward me. "You still have the guts to show up here? The whole school knows about you now. The advisor will definitely be calling for you any minute." I smirked, a mocking smile tugging at the corners of my lips. "We'll see who gets called in first." Victoria sneered. "You must be delusional. You're going to be in so much trouble today." Just as she finished speaking, the class president walked in. "Victoria, the advisor wants to see you." "What? Shouldn't they be calling for Emily?" The class president gave her a disdainful look. "How would I know? Ask the advisor yourself." Victoria finally sensed that something was off. Suspicious, she left the dorm room. Not long after, she stormed back in, furious, and swept everything off my desk onto the floor. With tears in her eyes, she screamed at me, "Emily, I'll ruin you." Victoria and Nathan's graduate school plans were officially over. The PDF I had shared caused a massive stir across campus, and even trended on a popular social media platform. The university took it very seriously and decided to revoke their graduate school recommendations. To be fair, their qualifications for the program were shaky at best. They'd cheated on countless exams, and Victoria had used her rich girl status to intimidate others, forcing them to turn a blind eye. I stared at her calmly. "Victoria, you brought this on yourself. If you and Nathan had been innocent, I wouldn't have had anything to report." "You!" Victoria glared at me with pure hatred. "I won't forget this, Emily, just you wait." Nathan, however, reacted more dramatically, cornering me on my way back to the dorm. "Emily, do you know how hard my life is? How could you do this to me?" I shrugged. "So it's fine for you to spread lies about me, but not okay for me to expose the things you've actually done. Where do you get the audacity to question me? Oh, and by the way, you've got 1 day left. If you don't pay back what you owe me, this PDF will be just the beginning." Nathan softened his tone, leaning in to grab my hand, but I dodged him. "Emily, just forgive me this once. As long as you admit that everything you've said was made up, I'll be with you." I pinched my nose and took 2 steps back, keeping at least 6 feet between us. "I'm not a fly, and I definitely don't want to be with someone as disgusting as you. Shoo, get away from me before I suffocate from the stench." Nathan was so furious that he couldn't speak, still trying to grab my wrist. I slapped him so hard that he stumbled back, struggling to keep his balance. How had I not noticed before that he was this weak? "Nathan, stop pestering me. Trust me, you don't want to know what happens if you keep this up." With that warning, I turned and walked away. Nathan continued to bother me a few more times afterward, but I called the police on him. He only stopped after returning the money he owed me. This whole ordeal became a hot topic at our college, and it was discussed endlessly before it finally blew over. Soon after, it was time for internships. I'm obviously not worried about internships. My dad already arranged everything for me, and I'll be joining our family business directly, Victoria announced. The classmates who had been mocking her just a few days ago suddenly changed their tune, flattering her with fake smiles. "Victoria, you're so lucky. Don't forget about us when you're at the top." I clutched my phone and headed back to the dorm. Victoria glanced at me and sneered. "Some people sure like to pretend. Deep down, they're probably dying of jealousy. Her sycophant chimed in immediately. Exactly. Victoria, you're just too kind, and that's why people take advantage of you. I couldn't be bothered to respond to them. I had already secured my own plans. A couple of days ago, my dad had strongly insisted that I intern at our family company. Why would you go to someone else's company? Just focus on your internship here, and after you graduate, you can help me manage the business. Reluctantly, I agreed. To be honest, I was also curious about this mysterious family enterprise I had never been involved with before. On Monday morning, as I was about to leave for the company, my dad stopped me. This time, start from the bottom. Don't reveal your identity just yet. People might treat you differently if they know who you are. Just act like a regular employee and focus on doing a good job. Sure, Dad, I replied casually. It was such a simple request. Even after becoming wealthy, I hadn't gone around flaunting it. Life was the same as always. Oh, by the way, my dad added, I've been sponsoring a college student for years now. She goes to your school and will be interning at our company this year. You should get to know her. Got it, I said quickly, eager to leave before my dad could start another long-winded lecture. When I arrived at the company for orientation, I saw two unexpected faces. Nathan, thank you so much. I wouldn't have had this opportunity without you, he said, holding Victoria's hand tightly, his face full of gratitude and affection. It's nothing, she replied. Honestly, I didn't even want to come here. If it weren't for my dad insisting that he wanted me nearby and thought his own company would be the best place for me to grow, I wouldn't have bothered. The company, Prosperity Group, was a leader in the industry, the kind of place countless people dreamed of working at. As soon as the other interns heard that she was the CEO's daughter, they flocked to her, trying to curry favor. Among them, someone couldn't resist asking out of curiosity, "You're the daughter of Prosperity Group's CEO? Then why isn't your last name the same as his?" Victoria brushed her hair back with a haughty air. Because my dad loves my mom so much, he insisted that I take her last name. Your family sounds amazing, someone gushed. I was puzzled. You're the daughter of Prosperity Group's CEO? Then who am I? Nathan shot me a look of disdain. Her? And not you? Emily, how do you even have the nerve to walk into a top-tier company like Prosperity Group when you're covered in filth? Victoria waved me off dismissively, her tone dripping with arrogance. If you beg me, I might consider giving you a chance. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Victoria had to be lying. How could I not know if my parents had another daughter? I stepped into the stairwell and called my dad. Dad, did you cheat on Mom? He was so startled that he nearly dropped the phone. What is wrong with you, kid? What kind of nonsense is that? Cheat? I'd sooner see a ghost. So it was Victoria who was lying. That was all I needed to know. Just as I was about to hang up, I remembered something my dad had said earlier. Dad, what's the name of the student you've been sponsoring? I think her name is Victoria. I froze. So, Victoria was the student my dad had been sponsoring all these years. I thought about all the stunts Victoria had pulled during college and couldn't help but marvel at her audacity. Who gave her the courage to parade around pretending to be a rich heiress? Watching her bask in the attention of her admirers, I came up with a plan. This was going to be fun. Victoria walked in that day with a flashy new bag, a low-key yet luxurious piece from a high-end brand, clearly very expensive. Tommy, ever the observant one, noticed it immediately and exclaimed, "Wow, an Aja bag. I've never even dared to step inside their store." Victoria sighed dramatically, feigning annoyance. I told my dad not to buy me any more bags. The ones at home are practically piling up, but he just had to get me a new one. I prefer carrying simpler bags, like Prada or Givenchy. Is this what you call ordinary? Tommy forced a stiff smile and sensibly returned to his seat. Victoria looked rather smug. This is the bare minimum. I've never carried a bag worth less than $3,000. I tried hard to suppress my laughter, but a snicker finally escaped. As the only one aware of the true story behind this ostentatious display, it was genuinely difficult to hold back. Victoria caught my laugh and casually asked, "Emily, how much is your bag worth?" I was speechless. Flaunting openly, subtly boasting, wasn't the whole point to prove she was wealthier than me? Fine, I'll play along. $9.99, including free shipping. Satisfied? Let's see who ends up embarrassed when the truth comes out. Ah, such a bag. The manager walked in, cutting off Victoria's train of thought. The presentation meeting for the proposals is about to begin. Interns, get ready. Last week, the manager had announced that everyone should prepare a proposal to compete for the team leader position. I was fairly confident about this. In school, I had handled most of the group assignments single-handedly. On top of that, I had participated in numerous competitions. Besides, the proposal assigned to the interns wasn't particularly challenging. I was determined to win, clutching the product of many sleepless nights as I walked into the conference room. Victoria volunteered to present first. "Manager, let me go first," she said eagerly. I was puzzled. Back at home, Victoria was the worst in our dorm, always busy indulging in the luxuries her wealthy family afforded her. Finals? She copied her way through. Could she actually have written this proposal? The manager, seeing her enthusiasm, allowed her to go ahead. I sat back, listening quietly, but soon straightened up, anger bubbling within me. The content of her presentation was all too familiar. She had plagiarized my work. This is my idea. What do you think, manager? When she finished, the manager nodded approvingly. Not bad. The approach is solid, and there are virtually no major issues. Quite impressive for an intern. I'll work hard to improve and strive to stay with the company, Victoria replied sweetly. I coldly chuckled, slamming my folder onto the table. Victoria, do stolen ideas count as your own? What's going on? The manager frowned. Victoria's expression flickered with panic but quickly regained composure. Manager, Emily is slandering me. She's always been jealous of my academic achievements back in school. The manager turned to me. If you're making accusations, provide evidence. I don't want any drama in this team. I calmly replied, I request access to the security footage. My computer has been untouched, and the footage will surely show her accessing it. Victoria sneered at me. Go ahead, check it. My heart sank. Sure enough, the security staff returned, saying, the cameras malfunctioned for some reason. Emily, we were classmates after all. Do you really think I need to copy your proposal? Speak with evidence, Victoria said smugly. The manager sternly addressed me. Since you can't prove your claim, let's drop this matter. I won't tolerate further disruptions. Oddly, I felt a sense of bias from the manager. Was it just my imagination? Who says there's no evidence? I retorted, glaring at Victoria with a mocking smile. Does my incomplete draft make you this proud? Without another word, I walked to the front and opened my version of the proposal. Victoria had indeed copied my work, but she hadn't copied everything. Last night, I had reviewed my draft and made several corrections. Victoria, with her limited skills, couldn't have spotted those errors. You didn't look closely, did you? While this proposal appears decent, the data it uses is outdated by several years. If implemented, it would cause significant issues. Tell me, Victoria, if you didn't plagiarize, how do you explain this mistake? Victoria stammered, speechless. Turning to the manager, I spoke sincerely. Manager, even without the footage, I believe you understand the situation by now. If such behavior is tolerated, what kind of atmosphere will our team have? The manager seemed to be deep in thought as I walked out of the room. Tommy approached me with sympathy. What a shame. If it weren't for the fact that she's the CEO's daughter, you'd definitely have been chosen as the team leader. Leaning in closer, she whispered, "Word has it that the decision was made long ago. The team leader position was always meant for Victoria. Makes sense, though. If I were the manager, I'd favor the CEO's daughter, too." I chuckled to myself. Favoring her would have been understandable, but Victoria? Really? The manager, perhaps sensing my dissatisfaction, called me in for a private talk, subtly warning me in a sugar-coated manner. "You should work closely with the team leader." "Victoria? Her?" I smiled and replied, "Of course, I'll do my best to assist. Next week, there's a project that requires a proposal. Your intern team will be responsible for drafting it. If successful, our department will take over the project." "All right," Victoria said confidently as she accepted the task. Tommy, overhearing, quietly sidled up to me. "Do you think we'll end up doing all the work again?" I gave a wry smile. "It's possible." The two of us shared a deep sense of foreboding about the group's future. But the others? They seemed blissfully unconcerned. "With Victoria here, this project will be a breeze," someone quipped. "Yeah, she's got this under control," another chimed in. The atmosphere was nothing short of harmonious, but only I knew how unreliable Victoria actually was. And sure enough, Victoria was completely clueless. At first, everyone assumed she might be inexperienced, but at least capable of handling the basics, like the format of the project proposal. But as the days went by, they realized she genuinely knew nothing. On the very first day, Victoria declared, "You all handle these sections. I'll just do the data collection and final review." Anyone with experience could tell Victoria had chosen the easiest tasks. Out of respect for her privileged status as the boss's daughter, the rest of the group swallowed their frustrations and got to work. But when it came time for review, the manager stormed into our office and tossed the project proposal onto the table. "This is an embarrassment. How dare you submit something riddled with errors? Didn't anyone think to double-check? I'm not happy with this at all," he added coldly. "The company has decided to revoke one of this year's intern to full-time conversion slots." Tommy, who had poured her heart and soul into the project and stayed up countless nights to perfect it, couldn't hold back her emotions. She clenched the proposal and pored over the mistakes. Realizing they were all in the sections Victoria had overseen, she snapped, "You're using data from 2 years ago, Victoria. Do you even have any professional standards?" Victoria, unbothered, replied, "Why are you yelling at me? Careful, or I'll tell my dad to fire you on the spot." Nobody wanted to risk crossing Richard's daughter, not unless they were ready to walk out of the company for good. Tommy swallowed her anger and returned to her desk in silence. But it was clear the team's resentment toward Victoria was growing by the day. Victoria, however, didn't seem to care. She continued parading around the office, flaunting her connections and privileges. The latest? She was bragging about an upcoming gala. "My dad's hosting it just for me," she announced smugly to anyone who would listen. I told him to keep it low-key, but he insisted on going all out. A gala? Just a few days ago, Richard had mentioned to me that he'd be holding an event to formally introduce me to his business network. He and my mom had been planning it for weeks. In fact, he'd just called to remind me that my uncle would be taking me to pick out a dress, since his taste was better. Watching Victoria flit around the office like a smug butterfly, with Nathan trailing behind her like a loyal lapdog, I couldn't help but smile. I couldn't wait for the moment they came crashing down. My uncle arrived in his luxury car to pick me up. A renowned designer based overseas, he had recently returned to the country. The moment he saw me, he was less than impressed. "No, no, no," he said with a dramatic sigh. "We need a complete transformation." After hours of trying on gowns, we finally agreed on a sleek black dress paired with a dazzling diamond necklace. "Perfect," he declared. Exhausted but relieved, I returned to the office with him. He went to discuss something with Richard while I headed to my desk. As I walked in, I noticed the odd stares from my colleagues. Tommy, in particular, looked upset. She quickly approached me. "Victoria's been trash-talking you in the break room," she whispered. Following the murmurs, I found Victoria chatting with a group of women. "I'm just saying," she sneered. "Emily must have some sugar daddy. How else would she afford that Maybach parked out front?" "What? No way. She always seemed so proper." "Who would have guessed?" one of the women replied. Victoria smirked knowingly. "Oh, honey, back in college she was quite the wild one." I pushed the door open, startling everyone inside. "Don't you know how to knock?" Victoria shrieked, but her voice faltered when she saw me. "Who's the wild one, Victoria? Be careful not to bite off more than you can chew. Lies have a way of catching up with people." Victoria stammered. What lies? I never said anything." I scanned the room. "I suggest everyone use their brains and not take everything at face value. And as for you, Victoria, don't forget to take off your mask before it becomes permanent." That evening, the gala was as grand as expected, held at one of the city's most prestigious hotels. I arrived later than most, but the first people I spotted were Victoria and Nathan. Victoria was dressed like a gaudy peacock, her cheap accessories clashing with the elegance of the event. Well, look who decided to show up," Victoria sneered. "How did you get in?" "Did your sugar daddy bring you?" Nathan chimed in, eager to please. "Emily could never compare to you, Victoria. You're the future heir to the Fenway Corporation." Victoria puffed up with pride. "See this? This whole gala is for me. My dad planned it just because I asked. If I were you, I'd leave now before I embarrass you in front of everyone." I ignored her, which only made her angrier. She snapped her fingers and beckoned a waiter over. "She snuck in without an invitation. Get her out of here immediately." The waiter politely asked me, "Miss, do you have an invitation? An invitation for my own family's banquet?" I shrugged nonchalantly. "Nope. Apologies." After saying that, the waiter was about to escort me out when a voice stopped him in his tracks. My dad descended the staircase, his gaze landing in my direction. "Who dares to try and throw my daughter out?" "What?" Victoria's eyes widened in disbelief as she muttered under her breath. "I thought you didn't have a daughter." My dad ignored her completely, striding toward me with a stern expression. Usually he's all smiles and warmth, but tonight, in such an important setting, he exuded an air of authority that was truly impressive. "This is my daughter, Emily, and also the new heir to Bright Path Corp. As for Miss Victoria here, she's merely a scholarship student I sponsored." The room fell utterly silent. Among the attendees were several of my department colleagues, all too shocked to say a word. Just moments ago, Victoria had been flaunting her supposed status as the daughter of Bright Path Corp's chairman, using it to build connections. But within minutes, her entire charade unraveled. People began whispering among themselves, their eyes darting toward Victoria. Under the weight of those stares, she faltered, looking at me with disbelief. "Emily, you've been hiding this all along. I never thought the truly cunning one was you." Hearing this, my dad's expression darkened as he said firmly, "Watch your words. I've supported you for years, yet you've been causing trouble at school and bullying my daughter. How can you face your parents back in your small town? And now you dare to call my daughter devious? If anyone's devious, it's you." Yes, I had told my dad everything. He was shocked and furious when he learned how she'd tormented me, but decided to follow my suggestion for a decisive response. Victoria's face turned pale as she trembled, trying to form a response, but my dad cut her off. "Given your actions, you no longer meet the criteria for our scholarship. It's cancelled, as is your internship. I hope you'll reflect on your behavior." Hearing this, Victoria broke down. Her eyes reddened as she rushed up to my dad, pleading, "It's not like that. Please, I beg you, don't cancel the scholarship." Seeing no reaction from my dad, she turned to me, venom in her voice, screaming, "Emily, are you satisfied now? You've been laughing at me this whole time, haven't you? How could you be so heartless?" I shrugged. "Victoria, every bit of this conflict was started by you. If you've ended up here today, you have no one to blame but yourself." Victoria's face twisted in fury as security escorted her out. Nathan, standing nearby with a conflicted expression, didn't wait for anyone to prompt him. He slunk out after her, tail between his legs. After holding it in for so long, I finally felt a wave of satisfaction. It was incredible. But I soon realized the drama wasn't over. A classmate tipped me off, so I logged onto the school forum. The pinned post had been replaced by a new one. The year I was deceived. It was from Nathan. In the post, he detailed how Victoria had tricked him, leading to him losing his girlfriend. He exposed all of Victoria's lies about being wealthy, writing with anger and resentment. Given Nathan's personality, I wasn't surprised he'd pull a move like this. Victoria, of course, wasn't one to back down. She jumped into the comments section and started a full-blown argument with him. "You didn't hesitate to spend my money, did you? What now? Pretending you don't know me? Nathan, you're such a scumbag." Nathan shot back, "And you're just a scholarship student. How dare you compare yourself to a real heiress? It's laughable. The fact that I ever dated you disgusts me." "Oh, like you're any better? You were dating Emily and still came after me. Conveniently forgot about that, didn't you?" Clearly unsatisfied, Victoria compiled all her evidence and started a new thread, airing even more drama. It was a spectacle. Even I couldn't stop myself from reading it with fascination. The two of them kept taking turns posting, creating a full-blown online drama that drew in countless students eager to watch the chaos unfold. Eventually, the school administration stepped in, forcing both of them to apologize publicly on the forum and handing them severe disciplinary actions. But Nathan wasn't ready to give up just yet. He came to find me. "Emily, I was such an idiot. Please forgive me this once. I swear I'll treat you well from now on. Let's start over." Nathan's tone was pitiful, a far cry from the arrogance he'd displayed when we broke up. I let out a cold laugh. "Now that it's all over, you come crawling back? Nathan, you really know how to show up when it's too late. Forgive you? Do you think that's even possible?" He tried to grab my hand. "Emily, don't you remember how much we loved each other? Don't you want to give us another chance?" I yanked my hand back forcefully. "No, I don't. Get lost." As I walked away, Nathan shouted bitterly after me, "You'll regret this." But the drama wasn't confined to just my personal life. At the company, Victoria was causing a scene at the entrance. "I need to see your chairman." Spotting me, she rushed over and grabbed my arm desperately. "Emily, I was wrong to treat you badly before. I'm in dire need of money. Please, ask Mr. Richard to sponsor me again. Please." Seeing her humbled and pleading, I couldn't help but feel a pang of pity. "Victoria, you're responsible for the mess you're in today. Security, escort her out." Richard knew Victoria had come to stir up trouble again, so he handed me a credit card without hesitation. "Take a break from work for now. You've had to deal with such a disgusting person. Go and enjoy yourself for a while." Richard looked guilty. He had been getting an earful from my mom these past few days for supporting someone so awful, only to let her bully his own daughter. I ended up having to comfort him instead. "Everyone makes mistakes," I said. "It's just one of those things." Both Richard and I learned a valuable lesson from this. That evening, after work, I decided to clear my head with a walk. Alone, I wandered through the quiet streets. As I passed a narrow alley, I felt a sharp blow to the back of my head. "Finally, you're in our hands." I woke up groggily, only to see Nathan and Victoria standing right in front of me. Victoria leaned in close, pinching my face hard. "So feeling smug now, are we?" I smirked. "Oh, absolutely. Not only am I smug, but I also pity you. How does it feel to have all your efforts amount to nothing?" Victoria's face turned red with anger. Nathan, growing impatient, cut her off. "Enough with the talk. Tell your dad to cough up the money and bail you out." Still smiling, I calmly said, "Oh, look, he's already here." Nathan and Victoria turned around sharply, only to find a row of police officers standing silently behind them. At the front of the group stood Richard. The two of them were amateurs. It wasn't hard for them to get caught. I sighed. "I had hoped you two would have changed, but it seems you're as foolish as ever. You've squandered the second chance I gave you. For a moment, I had wondered if I was being too harsh. But no, bad people don't change, they remain just as bad." Behind me, I could hear their desperate cries and shouts, but I paid them no mind. Richard held my hand tightly as we walked out of the warehouse. Mom was waiting for us at home, ready to share dinner as a family.